Jermaine Defoe won't make tomorrow's game. He's still recovering from a hamstring injury. He's progressing well. But obviously the weekend's come too soon. Stephen Davis is still getting a little bit of a niggling Achilles, but he is progressing really well. He probably missed this game by a couple of days, so we're expecting him back in full training early in the week. Should be available for Thursday night. Besides that, everyone's fitting well, assuming they come through this morning's session.
Stephen, morning. You know how much the rivalry between the two clubs exists and how tightly fought the games have been over the last couple of seasons. To go there with no supporters tomorrow, how much do you think that's going to change the complexion of the game? Does it give you an advantage, do you think?
Well, I think it'll certainly be different. It'll be unique. We've had some rehearsals in pre-season to get used to that, but I think it'll have pros and cons as far as we're concerned. Obviously the cons are we won't have the Rangers following up there who travel in the numbers and really get behind the team. But it's the same for both teams. We have to accept it and play the game. Obviously an advantage will be that it's quite an intimidating atmosphere up there. Their fans get behind the team and can change the momentum of a game within there. So we're expecting it obviously to be a lot more calm. But in terms of the game, it'll be a tough challenge. It's an exciting fixture and one that we're all looking forward to. And the plan is to go up there and try and bring 3 points back down the road.
You've had a successful pre-season. Going into this season with everything that's on the line, is the biggest challenge for you making sure that your players are mentally and psychologically able to last the pace?
Yes, I think it's an area that we have to be extremely strong in terms of attitude and mentality over the course of the season. For me, it's important to try and control the noise. We have to accept that there's going to be a lot of noise. We understand the importance of the season. But for me, it's the next challenge that's always the vital one, and that's Aberdeen. So that's what everyone's focused on at the moment. We've got another session to prepare for that. We're in good shape on the back of what you say is a successful pre-season, but I'm not sure you get much success from a pre-season, if you like. But we are going in good shape, and people are looking ready.
Obviously, at the start of any season, getting off to a winning start's important. But is a part of you that views, getting a good run going at the start even more important this term, considering that you weren't able to sort of reverse that dip after the break last season?
Yeah, look, I think the important thing for us is to try and hit the ground running and try and take our pre-season form into this first game. It's a tough challenge. Aberdeen, historically, even before I come, is a tough challenge going away to Pittodrie. But you can only go on successful winning runs if you win the next game. So the plan is to try and start strong and take 3 points and really try and put a statement out there with our performance.
And can I get your thoughts on the 5 substitutes rule that's going to be in use this season? Do you see that as maybe changing your mind on how big a squad you think you'll be looking to have this season?
Possibly. I think it is something we will have to chat about in terms of a staff, a group, and also with the board as well. That could change the plans. I mean, we only got this news late last night, which is quite strange on the eve of a season to get news so big as that. But we do think it'll have advantages as well. It's an opportunity to try and get more people game time. You can keep more players in your squad happy. It's a chance to maybe at the right time blood some youngsters within that as well. Everyone knows how important the academy is here as well. So, it's something that we will adapt to, and we do see a lot of advantages from it. But it was a bit of a surprise coming on the timing. 48 hours before the game. It's quite strange to get that news because it's such a big change for everyone across the league.
Hi Stephen. Obviously the big news this week has been regarding Alfredo Morelos and bids. Is he in the squad for tomorrow, and is there any further news you can bring us in terms of interest and offers?
I think the big news is always Alfredo. I think it always has been for 2 years, and I remember looking in from afar and it was about Alfredo quite a lot of the time there as well. That's something that we're all used to. It's something that we'll accept. There's nothing to report on him in terms of his situation. He's focused, he's training well, and he's available for tomorrow. In terms of whether he'll start or not, you'll find out tomorrow, 75 minutes before the game.
I know that this situation is completely out of your hands and it all comes down to whether clubs can agree fees and that type of thing, but I assume you've prepared for the eventuality in the past of him leaving or not. How big a loss would he be, and how hard would he be to replace?
Well, I think I need to correct you first and foremost because it is in my hands and it is in my control. But in terms of for any of our players, if they end up going out the door, if evaluations are met and we decide collectively that it's the right thing for the football club, we'll always be prepared in any area.
Just moving away from Morelos, but keeping on the transfer front, how far away from you do you think you are looking at your entire squad in terms of exits and entrances? Obviously, the window will run on for quite a while, but how far away do you think you are from that final squad?
Well, I think it is going to be a unique window in terms of ins and outs. Obviously, some teams have only recently just finished, some leagues are still playing, some players are on holiday, so I think it is going to have to be a patient window. We are close on one or two things in terms of additions, so fingers crossed if they keep progressing, we're hoping to have someone in the door pretty soon. But until obviously you finalise that and get it over the line, I don't want to obviously say too much on it. But we are actively trying to make the team and the squad stronger, and we are close on a couple of things. In terms of outgoings, it depends on a lot of things. You know, when you start naming squads and picking teams and stuff, naturally people might feel like they're on the outside and things can develop at any given time really, but no one will be leaving unless they either meet our valuation or we think it's going to benefit that player going out.
And just a quick word yesterday as well, the government announced that possibly fans could be reintroduced as early as September the 14th in some capacity. How big a boost do you think that would be, not only for you but for the whole league?
I think it's a boost for the country. You know, everyone loves the game. Everyone's been through a very challenging lockdown, so the sooner we can get fans back in the stadiums at the safest possible way is a boost for everyone, me included, and everyone connected with Rangers. But I'm sure everyone shares that view up and down the country. Football is about supporters. You know, we've had incredible support from the Rangers fans during this lockdown. You know, and we want them back in the stadiums as soon as possible. But the important thing is the time's right, and it's the safest time to do that.
The last couple of seasons we've seen Aberdeen, when they come to Glasgow, adopt quite a rigid formation, get men behind the ball, but at Pittodrie the games have seemed to be a little bit more open. However, given Aberdeen's striker crisis and, as you mentioned earlier, the lack of a home support to really roll them on, do you anticipate that we may see them line up and give Rangers more a game that kind of resembles an away game rather than perhaps a usual trip to Pittodrie?
I think that's possible. I think we have to be ready for both. I think at times they've been quite bold, as you say, at Pittodrie. We will have to work the game plan out as and when. We do know that Derek's very organised in terms of his shape, and he does like his players to be really disciplined within that. So, you know, we're ready for both scenarios. For me, it's about preparing Rangers to be in the best possible shape. We expect a tough challenge and a good game, but the games have been really entertaining up here at Pittodrie, and hopefully it's the same and we can come out with the outcome that we want. But we believe we're ready, and we're really looking forward to getting up there and getting the game started.
Stephen, what is Morelos' mood been like around the training ground? Do you believe he's focused on this game if selected?
Yes, I've been watching him very closely, as of all the players, to see how they're looking, see the mentality. I've also had some detailed chats with Alfredo. He tells me he's ready, he looks ready, and he'll certainly travel up to Aberdeen with us in terms of the squad. In terms of whether he'll start or not, as I say, we've still got to look at the players this morning in the final session, and we'll pick a team that we think's best capable of getting the result. But at the moment, he needs to, you know, block the noise out like we all do and focus on the game in front of us.
You can win the league this year. Will you win?
I think it's a bit early to be saying stuff and creating headlines on all that type of stuff. For me, the focus is Aberdeen and trying to hit the ground running and starting as well as we can. We want to try and make the team and the squad stronger over the coming weeks and be in the best possible position to challenge on all fronts over the course of the season.
Hi Stephen. Stephen, if I picked you up correctly earlier, you said that if Morelos, or if anyone else for that matter, were to be sold, you would have the final call on that. If Morelos were to go, or anyone else for that matter, have you been assured, or would you expect that money to be reinvested into the squad?
Look, I think it'll be a collective decision in terms of when we sit down and analyse any bids that we receive for any players. But what I can assure you is the board are not pushing anyone out the door or putting any pressure on me to sell. And I think as a club like Rangers, you've always got to be prepared if someone does leave to be able to replace. One thing's for sure, ever since I've walked in the door, the board we've always been on the same page in terms of trying to make this 11 and this squad as strong as we can to compete, and I don't think that'll change.
Right. And in terms of this season, Stephen, you've obviously had numerous challenges, be it with England in the Euros, the finals, Liverpool, trying to win the league, the Champions League. How would you assess the challenge facing you trying to stop the 10?
Look, it's big here. It was big in my first season. It was big in the second year. We understand and respect the fact that there's going to be a lot more noise around it because of the timing, and people on the outside will do a lot of talking, and there'll be a lot of pundits saying this, that and the other and having opinions on it. For me as manager of this team, the job's to keep the players focused on Rangers, on staying in the best form we can stay in, and getting a squad prepared and ready for all the challenges that face us. We don't need to get involved in any unnecessary noise. All we need to do is stay focused and win football matches.
Just one final one, if I may. How far away are you in terms of your squad to have that sustained challenge against Celtic? Because obviously you've shown it twice now that you can get to December and it's fallen away. How far are you from going all the way?
We still need to make additions. You know, these players have given me everything they've got over the course of the 2 years. My job is to give them some help and support to make sure that challenge is sustainable over the course of the full season. So, as I've said, and I'll say it again, I'm actively trying to add players in certain areas of the team to make us better and more equipped.
You think something could happen by the weekend on that front?
By the weekend's the weekend now, isn't it?
Well, by Saturday then.
Look, we're close. We're close. Right. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a new Rangers player in the coming days.
You're into your third season as Rangers manager. Is this the biggest yet? And what is the main goal for the team during the campaign?
Well, it's the most important because it's new, it's fresh, the challenges are all in front of us. I think individually, from my point of view, try and learn and grow and improve from the previous 2 seasons and try and use them experiences to make yourself better and the team better. But of course, it's certainly the most important moving forward because it's what we can control.
Absolutely. And it's been quite an unusual pre-season compared to any other. Is there any players that's really stood out and shone for you during this season?
Well, I think across the board, the majority have been really consistent. So I think someone mentioned Joe Aribo to me earlier on, and I certainly have to agree with that. His form's looking stunning at the moment. But, you know, we've won the 4 games that we've played and challenges in front of us. We're keeping clean sheets. So defensively, we're looking organised and we're creating chances and scoring goals. And as a manager, that's all you can really ask for. I don't really like naming individual players, but what I've also been pleased with is that people have come out and really stepped up. You know, Brandon Barker, for example, the cameos that he's shown why we brought him in the door and how helpful he can be moving forward. So that's what football's about, and it can change quickly all the time. We're always open for people who are maybe haven't been playing as consistent to step up and really try and affect the starting places in the team.
Given what's at stake this season, does that make the decision on Alfredo's future all the more difficult for you if he does? If a bid was come in that was suitable?
Andy, I think this will work itself out. You know, if there's a bid that's big enough that the board want to accept, we'll make that decision as and when it comes. At the moment, we're nowhere near that at the moment. So Alfredo's a Rangers player. He needs to focus on that, and he needs to focus on contributing goals like he always has done for 2 years. At the moment, I don't really want to add too many noise to it because we've got a game in 48 hours, and that's the most important thing right now, not ins and outs. The important thing is 3 points at Aberdeen.
I just wondered, obviously we saw the pictures from Anfield over the last few weeks with the scenes there with them winning the league. I just wonder if that sort of stirred your imagination and fired you up all the more for this season, and, you know, perhaps achieve something similar up here, obviously the long way that the club here have had for a title.
Well, I think it goes without saying how happy and proud and delighted I was from everyone at the club, and it was great to see from an ex-player and a fan's point of view. But I'm at Rangers, and my obviously challenge is to try and make Rangers as successful as we can. And every time I see success in sport, football more than any other, but I think it does whet your appetite and get the hairs on your neck standing up because you want to be a part of something that's successful, of course.